It felt impossible just a few weeks ago, but now it's real. The San Antonio Spurs are headed to the NBA Finals after eliminating the defending champion Oklahoma City Thunder in a winner-take-all Game 7 on their home floor. They walked into one of the toughest arenas in basketball, faced a league MVP, and beat a team that built its reputation on discipline, depth, and home court dominance. Oklahoma City had never lost a Game 7 since relocating, yet San Antonio stayed composed from the opening tip and played with the confidence of a veteran championship team. After the game, head coach Mitch Johnson summed up his young roster perfectly when he said they never care about experience. They simply believed they were good enough to win, and they proved it under the brightest spotlight. This series also felt bigger than just one playoff matchup. Oklahoma City style had become a major talking point throughout the postseason. Physical defense, constant grabbing, attempts to draw fouls, and endless gamesmanship frustrated many fans as the playoffs continued. San Antonio answered with a completely different approach. Instead of slowing the game down, they trusted ball movement, pushed the pace, shared scoring responsibilities, and relied on crisp execution rather than controversy. They buried 17 three-pointers in a hostile arena, forced 14 turnovers, converted those mistakes into 19 points, and repeatedly found open shooters instead of forcing isolation plays. The Spurs didn't steal this victory. They earned it by consistently making smarter decisions on both ends of the floor. Even Oklahoma City's locker room admitted what everyone watching could see. The Thunder had opportunities to seize momentum several times, but every run was answered by another Spurs basket. Every comeback attempt met another timely shot, defensive stop, or fast break score. That kind of poise from such a young roster speaks volumes about how quickly this group has matured. Instead of panicking when the defending champions pushed back, San Antonio trusted its system and continued playing together. At the center of everything was Victor Wembanyama, whose performance once again reminded basketball fans why so many believe he represents the future of the league. Rather than relying on foul hunting or dramatic theatrics, he dominated through skill, timing, shot-making, and defensive presence. His emotional reaction after the final buzzer made an even stronger impression than his statistics. While celebrating with teammates, he openly admitted that winning means everything to him and that he wants championships with every part of his being. That level of passion resonated with fans because it reflected a player driven by competition instead of personal accolades. It is exactly the mentality organizations hope to build around for the next decade. The deciding fourth quarter showcased why San Antonio deserved the series. Entering the final period with only a narrow lead, the pressure shifted completely onto the Spurs. Oklahoma City still had the MVP, home crowd, and championship experience on its side. Yet San Antonio immediately responded with fearless basketball. Keldon Johnson knocked down a huge three-pointer to ignite the offense. The Thunder answered, but the Spurs kept creating second chances through offensive rebounds before finding Johnson again for another clutch shot. Every possession seemed to produce another confident decision instead of hesitation. Then De'Aaron Fox delivered one of the biggest shots of the night, drilling a deep three that quieted the arena and forced Oklahoma City to rethink its defensive strategy. Moments later, Wembanyama produced perhaps the signature play of the series, calmly stepping back over shy Gilgeous-Alexander for a difficult three-pointer that only a player with his unique combination of size and skill could attempt. It wasn't simply a highlight. It was a statement that San Antonio's biggest star was prepared to decide the game himself if necessary. The momentum continued as Harper battled for another rebound and immediately pushed the pace, allowing Johnson to finish an easy transition basket. Within only a few minutes, the Spurs had ripped off a 14-5 run and built a double-digit advantage that completely changed the atmosphere inside the arena. What had been a tense Game 7 suddenly became San Antonio's game to lose because every player contributed at exactly the right moment. Of course, nothing came easily. Wembanyama picked up his fifth foul, creating immediate concern for Spurs fans. Throughout the series, San Antonio had struggled whenever he rested, and Oklahoma City sensed one final opportunity to rally behind Gilgeous-Alexander. The Thunder began cutting into the lead possession by possession, hoping the Spurs' young roster would finally crack under pressure. Instead, San Antonio's supporting cast held everything together. They defended without fouling, protected the basketball, and bought valuable time until Wembanyama could safely return. Those critical minutes may ultimately be remembered as one of the defining stretches of the entire playoff run, because they proved this team is no longer dependent on one superstar alone. Every player accepted responsibility, and together they delivered one of the biggest victories in franchise history. With Victor Wembanyama forced to the bench because of foul trouble, San Antonio desperately needed someone else to step up. That moment arrived in spectacular fashion. Luke Kornet delivered what may go down as the defining defensive play of his career. After Dylan Harper lost the ball, Isaiah Hartenstein appeared to have a clear path to an easy fast break finish that could have completely changed the momentum. Instead, Kornet sprinted back, timed his jump perfectly, and pinned the layup against the backboard. It instantly energized the Spurs, silenced the crowd, and prevented Oklahoma City from turning one mistake into a huge momentum swing. In a Game 7, championship-level plays often come from unexpected players, and Kornet gave San Antonio exactly what it needed when its biggest star could not be on the floor. The confidence spread throughout the roster. Julian Champagny, who has quietly become one of San Antonio's most dependable role players, buried a difficult step-back three with just over 5 minutes remaining. That wasn't simply another basket. It pushed the lead back to a comfortable margin at the exact moment Oklahoma City was threatening to take control. Championship teams survive because role players make shots under pressure, and Champagny answered one of the biggest moments of his career without hesitation. Then came Dylan Harper. Many rookies spent an entire playoff run trying to avoid costly mistakes. Harper looked like someone who had been playing postseason basketball for a decade. He immediately recovered from his earlier turnover by crashing the offensive glass for a putback basket before confidently drilling the step-back three over the league's most valuable player. That sequence completely changed the atmosphere. Instead of playing cautiously, Harper attacked with confidence, showing remarkable composure for a first-year player competing in the biggest game of his life. Those moments are exactly why San Antonio believes it has another future star alongside Wembanyama. Oklahoma City refused to disappear. While much of the attention remained on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, it was Cason Wallace who almost carried the Thunder back into the game. Wallace caught fire during the fourth quarter, scoring 14 points and knocking down one difficult shot after another. Every time the Spurs looked ready to pull away, Wallace answered with another basket to keep hope alive. His effort deserved praise because without him, the game would likely have ended much earlier. That reality also highlighted an uncomfortable truth for the Thunder. Gilgeous-Alexander finished with an impressive overall stat line, producing 35 points and 9 assists, but when the season hung in the balance during the fourth quarter, he managed only 4 points and never reached the free throw line. For a player celebrated as one of the league's best closers, Oklahoma City needed more. Instead, Wallace became the primary source of offense, while veteran Alex Caruso found himself forced into difficult contested three-point attempts that were never part of the original game plan. One sequence in particular may be remembered as the turning point of the closing minutes. Wembanyama already had 5 fouls, creating what appeared to be an obvious opportunity for Oklahoma City. Gilgeous-Alexander drove directly toward the rim with Wembanyama standing between him and the basket. Rather than attacking the defender's body and forcing a whistle, he hesitated, altered his approach, and ultimately threw the ball away. It was a surprising decision because even if the shot itself had been difficult, drawing Wembanyama's 6th foul would have dramatically changed the final minutes. Removing San Antonio's franchise centerpiece while earning free throws could have completely shifted momentum. Instead, the possession ended empty, and the Spurs escaped one of the biggest potential turning points of the night. San Antonio still had to survive a few nervous moments before celebrating. Stephon Castle nearly gave Spurs fans a collective heart attack with a late mistake that briefly reopened the door for Oklahoma City. But unlike previous seasons, this young Spurs team never panicked. They gathered themselves, executed in the final possessions, protected the basketball, and made enough winning plays to close out one of the biggest victories in franchise history. When the final buzzer sounded, it wasn't just another upset. It was proof that San Antonio's young core is ready to compete for an NBA championship right now, not someday in the future. Game 7 became much more dramatic because the Spurs almost gave it away in the closing moments. Stephon Castle turned the ball over 3 times during the final minute and a half, giving Oklahoma City several chances to steal the victory. In most situations, those mistakes would have ended a young team season. Instead, San Antonio stayed composed, made the defensive stops it needed, and escaped with one of the biggest wins in franchise history. That ability to survive mistakes instead of collapsing says everything about how mentally strong this group has become in such a short time. The biggest reason the Spurs reached the NBA Finals, however, was not a role player or one hot shooting night. It was Victor Wembanyama. Every conversation about this series eventually comes back to him, because Oklahoma City never found an answer. Fans will remember Keldon Johnson's threes, Dylan Harper's fearless plays, Julian Champagne's shooting explosion, De'Aaron Fox's clutch baskets, and Luke Kornet's incredible block. But none of those moments happen if Wembanyama doesn't dominate the entire series from beginning to end. Right now, there's a legitimate argument that Victor Wembanyama has become the best player in basketball, not because of hype, not because of potential, because of what he is already doing on both ends of the floor. Many debates focus almost entirely on offense, but basketball is played on both sides of the court. Elite defense changes championships, and no player in today's NBA impacts defense the way Wembanyama does. His value goes far beyond block shots. Opponents stop attacking the basket altogether because they know he is waiting. Guards hesitate before driving. Big men avoid challenging him. Entire offenses are forced to settle for difficult jump shots simply because Wembanyama is standing near the paint. Those possessions never appear in the box score, yet they completely change games. That impact was obvious against Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Before the Western Conference Finals, the MVP was averaging nearly 31 points per game while shooting around 55% from the field. Against San Antonio, those numbers dropped dramatically. He averaged roughly 26 points while shooting only 41%. That wasn't coincidence. After seeing Wembanyama protecting the rim for 7 straight games, Oklahoma City's offensive rhythm completely changed. Even offensively, Wembanyama continued producing despite carrying an enormous workload. He scored 22 points in Game 7, knocked down 3 three-pointers, played nearly 42 exhausting minutes, survived foul trouble after picking up his 5th foul, and buried one of the biggest shots of the night with a cold-blooded step-back 3 during the 4th quarter. It wasn't even one of his explosive scoring performances, yet he still controlled the outcome because of everything else he contributed. The scary part for the rest of the NBA is that San Antonio is no longer just one superstar surrounded by average teammates. This has become a complete basketball team. Julian Champagny delivered the performance of his life, scoring 20 points while hitting 6 three-pointers and finishing with the best plus-minus on either team. Every time Oklahoma City threatened to come back, Champagny answered with another huge shot. His name now belongs alongside some legendary Game 7 shooting performances, because very few players have ever made that many threes in a conference finals